Have you ever felt like your own mind is working against you? Like an unseen force pulling you down into self-doubt, anxiety, and fear, even when there's no real threat? You wake up in the morning feeling fine, but then that inner voice starts whispering, "I'm not good enough. I'll probably fail. They don't like me." These thoughts aren't coming from the outside world. They're coming from within. And the worst part, you believe them. The human mind is the most powerful tool we have, but if left unchecked, it can become our greatest enemy. It doesn't need anyone else to hurt us. We do it ourselves. We overthink. We dwell on the past. We fear the future. We get trapped in an endless cycle of negative thinking, slowly shaping a reality that only exists in our imagination. But here's the truth. Your thoughts are not reality, and your mind is not your master. You are. The ancient Stoics understood this problem long before modern psychology. They knew that the mind can be trained, that by mastering our thoughts, we could overcome suffering, build resilience, and find true inner peace. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of Stoic Mind Control. In this video, you're going to learn how to overcome negative thoughts, take control of your emotions, and train your mind to work for you instead of against you. We'll explore why your mind becomes your worst enemy and how to stop it. A simple Stoic mindset shift that will instantly change how you see the world. 3 practical Stoic techniques to rewire your thoughts and emotions. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a new perspective and real, actionable tools to stop your mind from sabotaging you. If you're tired of feeling trapped by your own thoughts, stay with me until the end, because the most powerful lesson comes last. And before we begin, take a second to make a commitment to yourself. Comment below, "I control my mind." Let this be your first step in reclaiming your inner strength. Now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Your mind can be your worst enemy. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. And the scary part, most people don't even realize when their own mind is turning against them. Think about it. How often do you find yourself trapped in negative thoughts? You make a mistake, and suddenly your inner voice whispers, "I'm not good enough." You face a challenge, and your mind says, "I'll probably fail." You meet someone new, and you wonder, "What if they don't like me?" These thoughts don't just pass by, they settle in. They grow roots. They shape how you see yourself and the world around you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But what if your thoughts are constantly working against you? What if, instead of building you up, they are tearing you down? The truth is, your mind is like a fertile field. If you plant positive, disciplined thoughts, you grow confidence, strength, and resilience. But if you let negative thoughts take over, they spread like weeds, suffocating everything else. You don't fail because you're incapable. You fail because you believe you are. You don't hold back because the world is against you. You hold back because you've convinced yourself that you can't move forward. Take a moment and think about the last time you doubted yourself. Was it because of an actual failure? Or was it because your mind had already decided that failure was inevitable? Imagine an athlete preparing for a major competition. He has trained for months, pushing his body to its limits. But as the day of the event approaches, self-doubt creeps in. "I'm not ready. Others are better than me. What if I fail?" Instead of focusing on his preparation, he is consumed by fear. On the day of the competition, he steps onto the field, but his mind is already defeated. His body still has the strength, but his mind has already given up. And so, he stumbles, not because he lacked skill, but because he let his thoughts control him. This is what happens when you don't control your mind. You become a prisoner of your own thoughts. You hold yourself back before life even has a chance to challenge you. And the worst part, no one else is doing this to you. There is no enemy outside. It's all happening inside your own head. But here's what the Stoics understood. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Just because a negative thought appears doesn't mean you have to believe it. Just because fear whispers in your ear doesn't mean you have to listen. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The mind creates fear, but you have the power to decide whether or not you give that fear control. So how do you take back control? The first step is awareness. Most people go through life letting their thoughts dictate their reality without ever stopping to question them. But the Stoics teach us that the key to Stoic mind control is to separate yourself from your thoughts. The next time you catch yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to fail, stop. Ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Is there real evidence for it? Or is it just fear talking? Imagine your mind as a river. If you jump in and get swept away, you lose control. But if you stand on the shore and observe, you can see the current without being carried by it. That's what awareness does. It gives you the power to step back, analyze your thoughts, and decide which ones deserve your attention. If you want to take this a step further, start a Stoic journal. Every morning, write down the kind of thoughts you expect to face during the day. What challenges might trigger anxiety or doubt? How can you prepare yourself to respond differently? Then, at the end of the day, reflect. What thoughts arose? How did you react? Could you have handled things better? Writing things down forces you to confront your thinking patterns. It helps you see how often your fears are exaggerated, how many times you worried about things that never actually happened. But awareness alone is not enough. The second step is to challenge and reframe your thoughts. When you find yourself stuck in a loop of negativity, ask, how would a Stoic see this situation? Instead of thinking, I will definitely fail, replace it with, I might fail, but I will learn something valuable. Instead of, I'm not good enough, tell yourself, I'm still growing. It's a simple shift, but it's powerful. The words you choose shape the reality you experience. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, observe your thoughts. Every time a negative thought appears, don't immediately believe it. Pause, question it, write it down if you have to, and then reframe it through the lens of Stoicism. This is how you start to take control of your mind. This is how you turn your worst enemy into your greatest ally. And once you do that, everything changes. Lesson 2. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. There are two kinds of suffering in life. The first comes from events that happen to you, things outside your control. The second comes from how you react to those events. And most of the time, it's the second kind that causes the most pain. We worry about things we can't change. We stress over how others perceive us. We replay conversations in our heads, wondering if we said the wrong thing. We fear the future, even though we have no control over how it unfolds. But what if you could free yourself from this unnecessary suffering? What if, instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, you focused only on what was within your power? The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This is the core of Stoic Mind Control, understanding what is within your control and what isn't. Because when you focus on what you can control, you gain peace. But when you focus on what you can't, you suffer. Think about Cain, a perfectionist who always worries about what others think of him. Every time he speaks in a meeting, he replays his words over and over, wondering, did I sound stupid? Was my boss satisfied? Do my co-workers respect me? These thoughts aren't fleeting, they consume him. And the worst part? No matter how much he worries, he can't control what others think. He only controls how he performs and how he responds. But because his energy is wasted on things beyond his control, he feels drained. He loses confidence. He becomes his own worst critic. Now think about your own life. Have you ever stayed awake at night worrying about what someone thought of you? Have you ever spent hours dreading an event only for it to turn out completely different from what you imagined? Have you ever let fear of what might happen stop you from taking action? The truth is, every time you do this, you're handing over your peace to something outside your control, and that's a losing battle. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength comes from letting go of what you can't change and focusing entirely on what you can. But most people do the opposite. They try to control everything, how people react, how life unfolds, how the future plays out. And when things don't go their way, they feel frustrated, anxious, even hopeless. But if you truly internalize this Stoic principle, something amazing happens. You stop worrying about things you can't control. You stop stressing over the opinions of others. You stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you, and suddenly you feel lighter. So how do you apply this in real life? The next time you catch yourself worrying, ask, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, take action. This shift alone can transform your mental state. Instead of getting caught in endless anxiety about what others think, focus on your own growth. Instead of stressing over whether something will go perfectly, focus on giving your best effort. Instead of fearing the unknown, focus on preparing for it. This is Stoic Mind Control in action. And here's something practical you can do right now. Take a moment and write down 3 things that are currently causing you stress. Then, separate them into 2 categories: things you can control and things you can't. Once you see them on paper, commit to releasing the things that are beyond your power. Accept them, let them be, and then direct all your energy toward the things that are within your control. This one exercise alone can bring you a sense of peace you may not have felt in years. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And the more you practice this, the more you'll experience that freedom for yourself. So as you move through today, remember this: you cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond, and that changes everything. Lesson 3. Stop living in the past or future. Master the present. You stand at the edge of a cliff. Below you, a deep abyss. There's no wind, no sound, just the pounding of your heartbeat. You hesitate, not because the cliff is too high, but because your mind is pulling you backward, to an old failure, a past mistake, a moment that haunts you, or worse. It drags you into the future, painting a dark picture of everything that could go wrong. And just like that, you are stuck. This is how most people live, trapped in the past or paralyzed by the future, while the present, the only thing they truly have, slips away. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "No one can lose either the past or the future. How could anyone be deprived of what he does not possess? The past is gone. The future has not yet arrived. The only thing that belongs to you is this moment, right now." And yet, the mind constantly fights against this reality. It clings to old wounds, replaying them as if doing so will change what happened. It fears what is to come, crafting worst-case scenarios as if worrying about them will somehow prevent them. The result? Suffering, not from reality, but from imagination. Seneca warned us of this long ago. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. How many times have you feared something that never actually happened? How many nights have you lost sleep over a worry that turned out to be meaningless? The truth is, most of our suffering does not come from what happens to us, but from how we think about it. Imagine a student preparing for an exam. He spent weeks studying, yet on the night before the test he can't focus. His mind is flooded with thoughts. What if I fail? What if I forget everything? What if my whole future is ruined? Instead of using the present moment to prepare, he drowns in anxiety over an outcome he cannot control. And so, by the time he sits down to take the exam, he's exhausted. Not because he lacked knowledge, but because his mind exhausted him before he even began. This is what happens when you live in the past or future. You rob yourself of your ability to act in the present. But here's the good news. You don't have to live this way. The Stoics teach us that true freedom comes from focusing entirely on the present moment, not being dragged backward or forward by the mind. When you let go of what was and stop fearing what could be, you gain the ability to respond to life as it unfolds. You become calm. You become resilient. You become untouchable. This is Stoic Mind Control in its purest form. But how do you practice this? The first step is awareness. The next time you find yourself stuck in the past or worrying about the future, stop. Ask yourself, is this happening right now? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, focus on what you can do in this moment. This shift alone will change how you experience life. One way to strengthen this habit is by practicing memento mori, the Stoic meditation on mortality. Each morning, remind yourself, I will not live forever. My time is limited. How will I use it today? This isn't meant to be morbid. It's meant to wake you up. When you truly embrace the fact that life is short, you stop wasting time on meaningless worries. You stop holding on to old pain. You stop delaying happiness for some distant future that may never come. You begin to live. Marcus Aurelius gave us the key to mastering the present. Confine yourself to the present. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, every time your mind drifts into regret about the past or fear of the future, bring it back. Take a breath. Focus on what's in front of you. Whether you're eating, working, walking, or talking, be fully there. This is the path to true peace. And once you master this, you master yourself. Lesson 4. Practical Stoic techniques to master your mind. Mastering your mind is not something that happens overnight. It's not a single decision or a moment of inspiration. It's a daily practice, a discipline. Just like a strong body requires training, a strong mind requires consistent effort. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't just talk about philosophy, they lived it. And if you want true Stoic mind control, you must do the same. You must train your mind every day, just as a warrior sharpens his sword before battle. The question is, how do you do it? How do you take the wisdom of the Stoics and turn it into something practical, something you can use in your daily life? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, left us a clue. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The key to overcoming negative thoughts and mastering inner peace lies in consistent mental training. You must become the master of your thoughts before they master you. And to do that, you need practical techniques, real tools that will help you apply Stoic philosophy techniques in real life. The first technique is Stoic journaling, a habit practiced by Marcus Aurelius himself. Every night, before bed, he wrote in his journal, not for anyone else, not to impress the world, but to remind himself of life's lessons, to reflect on his thoughts, to keep his mind disciplined. Try it for yourself. Every morning, write down the situations that might test your patience or challenge your mindset. Prepare yourself mentally before the day even begins. Then, at night, reflect. What emotions did you struggle with? What thoughts held you back? What could you have done differently? This practice forces you to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You stop reacting automatically. You start responding with intention. Over time, you'll begin to see patterns in your thinking. You'll recognize which thoughts serve you and which ones are simply illusions. The second technique is learning to observe your thoughts without attaching to them. Imagine sitting by a river, watching the water flow. Some waves are small, others are strong. But no matter what, you remain on the shore, observing. Your thoughts are the same. Most people get caught up in their emotions, pulled away by waves of anger, fear, or anxiety. But the Stoics teach us to step back, to become the observer, not the victim. The next time a negative thought appears, pause. Ask yourself, is this true, or is this just my fear speaking? You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. You can let it pass, just like a cloud drifting across the sky. Seneca once said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many times have you created problems in your mind that never actually happened? How much suffering have you endured simply because you believed your fears instead of questioning them? The third technique is training yourself through discomfort. Most people avoid hardship. They seek comfort, security, and ease. But the Stoics knew that true strength comes from embracing discomfort voluntarily. They called this preparing for misfortune. They would sleep on the floor instead of a bed. They would eat only the simplest food, even when they had wealth. Why? To remind themselves that they could endure anything. To break the illusion that they needed luxury to be happy. And you can do the same. Take a cold shower instead of a warm one. Fast for a few hours to remind yourself that hunger is not the end of the world. Live minimally for a day. No distractions, no unnecessary spending, just simplicity. These small challenges build resilience. They train your mind to be stronger than your circumstances. But here's the most important part. None of this works unless you apply it consistently. The difference between someone who is controlled by their mind and someone who controls their mind is daily practice. So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, commit to one Stoic practice. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's observing your thoughts instead of reacting to them. Maybe it's facing discomfort instead of avoiding it. Whatever you choose, practice it daily. See how it changes you. See how much mental clarity and peace you gain. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And once you begin this practice, once you start training your mind daily, you'll realize something powerful. You are no longer controlled by your thoughts. You are no longer a prisoner of your emotions. You have gained true mental freedom, and with that freedom comes real strength. You now have the tools to take control of your mind. Throughout this video, we've explored the powerful principles of Stoic Mind Control, how your thoughts can become your worst enemy, how to let go of what you cannot control, how to stop living in the past or future, and most importantly, how to train your mind with practical Stoic techniques. But knowledge alone is not enough. Change happens only when you take action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." The same applies to your mind. Don't just think about taking control, start doing it. Observe your thoughts, question them, challenge them. When you feel yourself being dragged into anxiety over the past or fear of the future, remind yourself, the only thing I own is this moment. If you catch yourself worrying about things beyond your control, pause. Ask, is this worth my energy? If not, let it go. And most importantly, train yourself every day. Write in your Stoic journal. Practice discomfort. Strengthen your mind like a warrior preparing for battle. The benefits of this mindset are life-changing. When you master your thoughts, you gain inner peace. You no longer react impulsively, you respond with wisdom. You stop fearing what might happen and instead focus on what you can do. You build resilience, confidence, and a mindset that is unshaken by life's chaos. This is how you become truly free. But here's the challenge. Watching this video is one thing, applying it is another. So before you move on with your day, take action. Choose one Stoic technique from this video and apply it today. Maybe you start observing your thoughts instead of reacting. Maybe you let go of something that's been weighing you down. Or maybe you take 5 minutes tonight to write in your journal. Whatever it is, commit to it, because every small step you take builds momentum. If you found this video valuable, hit like and subscribe for more insights on Stoic philosophy. And before you go, share in the comments. What is one thought you'll stop letting control you today? Your journey to mastering your mind starts now. Let's walk this path together.